Hello everyone and welcome to the Nordic Bouldering Championship 2021. My name is Jesper Kunz. Today I'm joined by Robin Vickery once again. And well, first up we're going to have the Youth B competition on the way. But before we get on to the actual competition, Robin would like to talk a bit about how the format is actually laid out here in this tournament.
Yeah, so the next few hours we're going to have the first Youth B finals and the Youth A finals, and normally you might know finals as being one boulder at a time, but we're doing the finals with a rotation in these finals. So that means every climber get 5 minutes on and 5 minutes off, and they're going to do 4 boulder problems. So it's a little bit different from normal qualification rounds, because it's only 4 boulder problems, but they still do the rotation with 5 minutes on and 5 minutes off.
Yeah. So obviously that is a huge difference from what you usually know when it comes to these bouldering championships.
Yeah.
But since that is going to be the case, it's obviously going to go a bit faster. We're going to try and keep track of who's on the mat at which point. But one of those athletes that I'm really looking forward to, Robin, is Hugo from Finland. He's coming in as our leading boulderer, and he is currently the national champion of Finland, and he's been that in his category for the past 3 years. Right now he's in Youth D, I believe they call it over in Finland. But last year, in 18 and 19, he did also win the championship in that category. So
yeah, and I believe he was best in the qualification, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah. So he definitely is a force to be reckoned with.
Maybe talk a little bit about Clara as well. Now we are in Denmark, and we have Clara, who is actually training normally here in Bison Boulders, and this was her first competition, right?
Yes.
Or the first real international competition, and she actually did really well. She went through the qualification as number 1, so she'll be out last here in the finals. But that's just really interesting to see. So really still very young and all that, but absolutely crushing her first competition. Quite inspiring, actually.
Absolutely.
So I might be cheering for her, even though this is the stream of all of the Nordics. But I think we have to go over to the first competitor, right?
Yes, we do. We have the competition on the way, so let's jump over to the boulders. Right now they are on the way. So up here first, this is our male competitor, the first one in the Youth B category. So that means that will be guard B. Kilsen coming in from Norway. And over on the female side is going to be Lumi Alakuti from Finland as well.
And yeah, the first problem here is obviously a bit of a jump. I mean, you start out getting sort of walking up a large volume, and then you need to do, I guess, a skip with your feet or a jump and get the second last hold, the green one up there. So a bit of a sketchy move for the first one. But I think many of the competitors will know what to do. It's just a matter of executing when being out there. So looks fun.
Yes, we've been told it's a lot about balance and a lot about hopping. So that's obviously something that's going to be playing a big role. You can see right here, if you don't have the right balance, you're going to have a hard time on this boulder, Robin. Excuse that we don't have a timer on screen right now. We should have that on the way as soon as possible. But every boulder have 5 minutes to complete their boulder before they have to move on to a different one. So within those 5 minutes, Robin, how much stress is there on some of these athletes now that we're only going to be climbing on 4 different boulders?
Yeah, obviously going into this format where you have 5 minutes and you haven't seen the boulder problem before, other the normal final format, you have been in there to inspect the boulder problem, you have some idea what you want to do. But going in, having 5 minutes, one thing that becomes really crucial is how much time do you use trying to read the boulder problem, obviously. So now I think we're seeing a top maybe on boulder, on the females, boulder number 1, if we can get that onto the stream.
I believe she is still climbing it, so
Yeah, but
hasn't quite completed it yet, but you can see right there, that is the female boulder number one. A lot about coordination here for the female boulders to begin with. So our athlete over from Finland is having quite a hard time now. That is Lumi Alakurti. But she has figured out how to do the starting and does get that zone. I'm not quite sure how many attempts she has used to get that zone quite yet, but nevertheless, just getting the zone is definitely a good start for Lumi.
this is going to be a close one, right? Yeah. So as I just talked about, obviously there is a bit of strategy involved in going into a 5-minute on-site competition. How much time do you use trying to read the route? Do you use a whole minute? Many of the climbers do that. Some of them will jump straight on, depending on how obvious they feel the solution is. So that's one thing to watch out for. The strategy each athlete will choose. And you see here that's within like 30 seconds that now we got.
And now we do have Aurora S.
Aurora.
Carlson over on the female side. You see getting ready for that jump. Over on the male side of things, it's Aaron Ratanen from Finland.
Yeah.
So 2 new climbers out here, and as you said, Robin, they're spending the first 30 seconds just to look at the ball, trying to figure out how to actually approach this and what their strategy should be. But as a former competitor yourself, Robin, what kind of strategy did you apply? Did you like to spend those 30 seconds, or did you spend more trying to figure out the boulders?
I guess when I was really young, I would jump onto the problems right away. Just giving them a really quick go, and then maybe giving them many goes. But with experience and as the years go by, you tend to get more and more like strategic and trying to sort of use a little bit more time reading the problem. But mainly it would be around 30 seconds, not more than a minute. That would be unusual to just be standing there. You also just feel so uncomfortable not climbing while being in there. The first like minute just standing, and you just feel that the time is ticking, right?
And the audience is just looking at you as well. So
Yeah.
they're just waiting for you to jump onto that boulder. But Aurora right now getting that zone hold, so obviously that is down now. But it's really interesting to hear you talking about how to take the time, and especially since this is our youngest category of climbers. So some of them are, well, like they're from 2007, 2006, some even from 2008, I believe. So quite young and obviously not as experienced as some of these other climbers that we're going to be seeing later on today will be. For example, Aurora hasn't really competed in anything quite yet, but Aaron on the other side is the UFD Finnish bouldering gold medalist in 2018. So obviously has that experience to play with. We did see him take those 40 seconds before he jumped onto a boulder.
So we just saw Aaron, if we can see that boulder, trying to jump with his left foot first, sort of trying to throw the left foot over to the big volume there. And I think what he needs to do is actually go with the right foot. Apparently the right sort of name for this is called a skate move, which is new to me. But it's a move where you jump with your hand and your feet on the same side at once, and need to control this potential bar door or barn door on the other side, right? But he needs to sort of see if he can get his right foot up, I suspect.
Oh, so close. Aaron figuring out the way right there.
Do you think I will be proven wrong here?
Well, with the timer slowly running out, again, it's sorry for us not having a timer on screen. It will be coming up.
You can see it sometimes on here, though.
You see 1 minute and 20 seconds, so Aaron has plenty of time to try and figure out how to do this boulder, but with 1 minute and 12 seconds left, and him just taking a break right now to try and regain some power. He is going to jump back on now, but that was 20-25 seconds of him just just taking it slow and trying to regain some of that strength, because obviously the more attempts you use in these boulders, you're going to get tired, and it is a long final, even though you do get that 5-minute break in between every boulder. Oh, well, he is certainly very, very close, and still with that 40 seconds remaining, Aaron has plenty of time. I definitely feel like we could be seeing our first top of men's number 1 here. Aaron pulling on once again, so I believe this is like the 4th try coming in here from Aaron so far. So obviously we're not up in those high attempts quite yet, those numbers, but obviously plenty of stuff can happen, and I think that is going to be probably Aaron's last go with only 5 seconds left remaining. That also means that Aurora will be falling off, and we're now going to get even more we're going to get some new competitors out on the mat. So as this is a rotation format, it means that in a few minutes we're going to have a bunch of climbers, 8 different climbers out on the mat at all times. So it's going to go super fast. We're going to try and keep up with every single boulder and try and figure out how everyone is doing. But our new competitors will be Lea over Stilsby from Norway, and Simon Borg from Sweden as well. That means that now we're going to be seeing climbers on women's number 2 and male number 2 as well, as we're checking in with Simon Borg here on male number 1. Let's see if he can then figure out how to do it.
So you saw him having a good look at it. He used a bit of time. Looked really, saw his face there. He looked like, what is going on here? But I think, should be fairly obvious that you need to walk up on the left side, sort of try to be comfortable standing on that surface there to get the zone and do the jump.
Yes. So, Robin, how much does physique and just your height mean on a boulder like this, where you have to make a jump like that? Obviously, reaching out with your right foot surely must be harder when you're a shorter climber.
No, I wouldn't say. Not in a boulder like this. Height does, of course, often play some role. It can go both ways. Obviously, this is something that route setters, I'm sure also the French route setting team that we've got here is very aware of. So quite often in boulder competitions, they will be very, just make a good job of sort of equaling out all of those benefits from being low or high or also small. Sometimes these really cramped positions you can be in can be hard if you're tall. But I wouldn't say that makes a huge difference on that specific boulder there. But talking about, this boulder is actually, well, it's 90% technique, and also, of course, within those 90%, it's sort of dedication, I suppose. Getting high up and being willing to really execute the jump and getting your right foot over there, doing that skate move, as we called it. So I don't feel that technique, and I don't feel that height plays a huge. It's a huge factor in a move like that,
but making sure that you dedicate yourself to the move and actually go all in onto it is a huge factor. That
maybe how much parkour you've done could make a difference, because this is obviously one of those moves where you need to be comfortable landing actually with your feet almost first, right?
Yeah.
Landing with your feet on the friction on the right side. And then just sticking the hand at the same time.
Well, it is interesting that you say that parkour might be the way. I know that Copenhagen has a very lively and strong parkour scene, so perhaps some of the Danish athletes are ready to do a jump skip move like this.
But, I mean, we also see this is quite a trend at the moment. We see quite a lot of parkour athletes coming to the climbing wall and mixing all of that up. So I'm sure many of the climbers today have done similar stuff and are looking in that direction to learn all of those dynamic moves that you actually need to do these days, right?
Yes, a very new style kind of boulders has been the trend for a long time.
Yeah, but I'm quite old, so for me it's still new school. I mean, that's maybe one interesting thing to talk about going into a competition like this, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But it will be quite. I think we will see that also in the finals here. The route setters are trying to test the climbers in 4 very different climbing styles, right? So if it's okay, maybe if I can talk a little bit about back in the days.
Of course.
Because I am old. I've been doing competition for quite many years, and so back in the days. Now that we are seeing actually a nice progression on this female number 1.
Yes, but only with 8 seconds left to go.
There's 4 seconds there. Yeah.
Dia is definitely in a hurry, and I don't think she's going to be able to make it.
So actually, they're proving really hard, the first boulders, right?
Yes.
But mind you that the winners from the quarterfinal or from the qualification will be in last. So maybe we will see more and more sense on these. Okay, but coming back to the back in the days, the old school climbing and all that. I mean, back in the days, you might go into a climbing competition. Seeing these boulder problems and just looking at them and saying, okay, this is my style of climbing. Just sort of the route setters had set up four crimpy problems in a row, right? And I guess this has been the development over the years that you're not seeing that anymore. They are very aware of shifting or mixing up the styles of climbing, so that you get tested in more and more different disciplines, really, right? Or different kinds of moves. So it's becoming a little bit more like like in gymnastics, where you need to be able to do the floor exercise, the bar and the high bar and all that. Not just training in one discipline. It's almost a little bit. Obviously, the boulders are never the same, and you have to be able to adapt. But there are some sort of textbook moves, like maybe the skate move, that you really need to be able to. That you just need to train, right?
Absolutely.
So who's on boulder number?
This is Sara Otora from Finland, or Finnish silver medalist from last year's bouldering championship in the UFC category. So Sara is also one of those climbers to keep an eye out for. And it's interesting to hear you talking about how everything was organized back in the days, because obviously with this being our youngest competitors in general here today, they have kind of quote-unquote grown up with this new type of climbing. So they're not used to those crimp hard type of problems. They're more used to these kind of dynamic moves or skate moves.
That's really, that's true, and that's one of the things being just basically fascinating for me being at the Nordic Championships here, is seeing that the very youngest competitors, 14 years of age, and even those that are not allowed to compete now, will move very efficiently on these new school jumpy kind of boulders, right? So this has really been a huge development that it comes really natural for many of the athletes from a young age. Yeah, and this is looking promising. We haven't seen any competitors get to this point before, Robin. So Sara is definitely the one looking the best, but now getting up to that end is going to be... I think she needs to go a bit further up with her feet before going for the last move, actually. And you can see there is a huge volume on the right side, which means you also need to throw your right foot out there. At least that's the intention. But it was really interesting that the route setters told me about this specific problem, and they said you need to be sort of a little bit patient in the end and feel your way up to the position where you can do the last jump. So that's going to be the key on problem number 1 for the females. And now we're just moving over to, what is this? Problem number...
Males number 2. The one who is currently over there is Aaron from Finland, or national champion in the UFD category. So if anyone can figure this out, it should probably be Aaron. But just to quickly hit back on the note you were talking about over with Sarah, obviously we saw just how she couldn't really build up that momentum. So that is something that we're going to have to look out for if we swap back to it. There we go. If she gets to that top, once again, we only have 1 minute left. So if she gets to that top and is in the same position again, we need to see her build more momentum because obviously you have to feel your way, but she just tried to jump and couldn't really get high enough.
Yeah, so I think she needs to see if she can perhaps get even one step further up with her right foot, which looks like she might want to do now. She's shifting her balance over there, so maybe she'll try to... No, I don't think she will.
The interesting thing about the wall is that the left part, the right part that the top hold is on is actually leaning in, so you can somewhat lean in towards that hold, but it's not an easy one. And well, she claps it, but she just doesn't get enough height to get onto that.
Need one more step there, and yeah, that's another thing really interesting is watching how the climbers, how much they're willing to adapt. She had one try where this didn't quite work. She tried to adapt and find a new solution, but maybe not quite as much as I'd like to. Yeah. So next up,
our first Danish competitor over on the male side of things is going to be Wilhelm Organ Ruckholt.
Oh yeah.
The only Danish male competitor here in our youth B category, but Wilhelm did get third place in the Danish championship in lead last year, so has been on the podium, does know how to handle this type of pressure. So let's see if you can also translate that onto the bouldering matrices.
Yeah, and let's get the stream over to, that's Wilhelm on problem number 1. And Wilhelm is quite a strong climber. I know him from back in Copenhagen, and has got a lot of like upper body strength and these like, full body strength. I am not sure if he likes these dynamic moves as he's on now, but we'll see.
Yeah, obviously with this boulder being more about the balance, about jumping, upper body strength is definitely not something that you're going to be using too much of. That's going to be more about boulder number 2 and boulder number 3. As we check in with Evie Kukkonen over from Finland, UFC Finnish bouldering silver medalist from 2019. Also one that's used to podiums here on the bouldering scene. And well, I believe this is her first try, so she has gotten quite far already. Now slowly leaning in there, trying to find that balance. Do you think that with her being, it looks like she's a bit higher than our former competitor in Sarah, do you think she's going to have an easier time getting to that top hold? Unless she falls off, of course.
But that was actually, I mean, she leaned a little bit down. She wanted to get full momentum. She knew she had to go pretty far there. I'm still pretty convinced that you perhaps need your right foot one step further up. I might be mistaken, but it just seems like they can't create enough momentum further down to get all the way out there. So, and now we're back to that's men's number 2, right?
Yes, that is going to be men's number 2. So that means we're checking in with Simon Borg.
Yeah, and this is really what you might call a sort of like
grip strength, kind of.
Not really grip strength, actually more like upper body strength, right? These are large volumes, and they're starting on in the roof. Actually, also in women's number 2, we're seeing like a boulder which is quite a lot about upper body strength, or like a power problem, you might call it, right? You can see there she needs to really press down and sort of use. Yeah, pretty much all of the upper body strength we got. So now, and we got a top on the number 1. Unfortunately, we didn't see how.
Yes, unfortunately, we missed Evie Kukkonen getting that top over on the first women's. But I believe that's the first top as well of that boulder. So
really good job there.
And a good start to the competition for her.
Yeah, I'm just so curious to see how the end solution was done. So unfortunately, we missed that. But yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see later on.
So hopefully, more competitors will be able to top that boulder as we once again check in with male number 2. Sorry, female number 2. So that's Lyra Stilsby again. Taking her time trying to figure out how to get this job done. She did manage to get all the way up to that Mickey Mouse kind of looking section of the boulder. But with only 1 minute left to go, she needs to figure this out really quickly.
And you see there's the dual texture there. So obviously you can only sort of get a good grip on the yellow side of these holds. The others are really slippery.
Dual texture obviously meaning that the white parts of those holds are super slippery. You can't really use them to anything. So for someone like Leah, it does mean that you can't really press underneath those boulders. You have to go in for the full compression kind of move.
Yeah. So Wilhelm going for the zone, and this gives him the zone anyway. Maybe we can also just explain that you've got the zone when you've used the zone.
Yes.
Oh, and he's so close. That was a really good attempt actually, because he was up there. He just needed to do a bit more of a skip with his right foot to stabilize himself over there. So maybe he's yeah, that was his last attempt. Unfortunately for Wilhelm, didn't get but he got the zone.
But talking about getting the zone, you mentioned that you need to use the zone. Can you expand a bit on that, Robin? When have you used the zone? When are you granted the zone in terms of your scorings?
Yeah, it's a very specific rule. It's when you've used it to get on with your on with the boulder problem. It's actually, as I understand, not just enough to touch it on the right surface or part of the hold. You need to somehow actively have used it to stabilize yourself, maybe, or to sort of get yourself in the right position, something like that. It can be with the end of your finger, but you need to use it, as far as I understand. So that's apparently the rules.
Yes, so you need to either stabilize yourself or create momentum forward.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing which is also we should mention is that zones does count for quite a lot. Also, back in the days, it's not that long ago, actually, the number of attempts you were using on the boulders would be the first thing to look at. That would be counting after how many chops you had. Then it would be the number of attempts. Now they've reversed that, so it's the number of zones you got that count as if it's equal on how many tops, then it's the zones, right? So zones have become quite important, but at the same time, flashing a problem, which means like doing it in your first attempt, is not quite as important anymore because that ranks lower down, right? Yes. So before it would be like flashing a problem that you'd really have put yourself in a good position. Now it's about going for those zones. So that's quite a difference from, back in the days, but only a few years ago.
Absolutely. So that does mean that you need to climb efficiently. You need to take your time looking at these boulders in order to get to that zone hold, because that is your first priority, quote unquote, right? Because you need to get that zone hold.
Yeah. So one thing which is also quite I think you can see from what they're struggling with on this boulder number 1 is to sort of get in a position where they can actually use the friction on this large volume. You see many of them sort of putting the almost like the toe on the volume, not really getting like a full sort of the full surface of their shoe on the volume. So that seems like they're struggling with that. And here we got Sofia Ramstedt from Sweden on boulder number 1. The coordination boulder there with the tricky ends. Could be nice if we can see how if she does the last move. That was so nice. Quick step over there and then switching feet to be able to hold the next move.
Now with 2 minutes left to go, Sofia Ramstedt.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a hurry, but does have to start to get on with this, because she is spending a lot of time on that boulder so far, and obviously the more time you spend on it, the less energy you're going to have going into those later boulders, and this is only the first one here for Sophia. Now pressing up, is this the right way to do it, Robin?
I think it is actually, and now the flexibility comes into play, but she does that really well as well. Getting your right foot up now, or getting it up in a minute, is also a huge, it's also quite a lot about flexibility. You know, you see these moves so much these days where you need to throw up your feet to the, throw your feet up to your hand, and yeah, okay, she does it.
That's a different way of doing it, but she nearly manages to do it. But, really, that was like 40, 45 seconds of just being on the boulder and trying to do that move.
I don't know if she's got a route climbing background or something like that, but she was on there for a long time, chalking. But really good effort, and I think she can make that work. Where she cuts loose with both feet, if she doesn't feel comfortable with the more like flexibility move that was there. But I would just really like to see her at the top and see if we can get some idea of how they're doing that.
Absolutely, and now, as you can see in the middle of your screen, in the upper part of your screen, 20 seconds left to go, and we already do see Sophia jump onto that boulder, so is trying to give it that one last go, but hopefully she has figured out how to do it, because she didn't have a lot of time. She falls off, and that is going to be the last attempt here from Sophia. And now this means, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to have a full competition going on now, meaning that we're going to have our first few competitors moving on to boulders number 4.
I should also say that we have been promised that in some of the breaks, or they'll be shown the results will be coming up on the screen. We didn't have that yesterday. That was a bit tough for us, at least. But they should be coming up today. Getting the results in sort of fairly regularly shown on the screen.
Obviously, it does make it a bit more interesting knowing how many tops of the different climbers they have gotten. But so far, we can't really tell you for sure how many tops, for example, Lumi, Alakurti, or Gard Bang Kittelsen, who are currently on men's and women's number 4, how many they have. So we are going to update you with all of that information once it is given to us. But now we are checking in with female number 2, and that means we are going to be taking a look over at Evie Kokkonen. As we then go back to female number 1 instead, so that is going to be Rosa Arnold from Finland. Figuring out this move really, really quickly.
Yeah, it looks really natural for Rosa there. It's the first move. The little shishi, it's called in Danish. I'm not sure what it's called in English. But so she needs to get probably her right foot up first now.
Trying to figure out how to get into balance. Actually uses her left hand as well to get that.
That's a technique. That's a technique I use myself actually, because just not having enough active flexibility. It's called, right? Being able to use to get the feet up there actively. But looks like she is in a bit of a bad position there. Maybe I'm unsure, but maybe she needs to get her left foot up before the right foot actually. So that she can press on those 2 discs at the same time. We'll see.
Unfortunately, Rosa has to give up for this attempt, but
I think this, as we talked about earlier on, is it just shows. I mean, you can see how many different moves you have to figure out on just a boulder problem like this, and you've got 5 minutes. And first you want to give it a little sort of try to read the problem, and then you want to go on, and then there's going to be a whole lot of adaptations that you need to do. So that is probably why flashes still come into play here, right? If you can do these the first time, then there's also the benefit that you get a longer rest period. So we need to take that into account again. I'm sure later on we'll see some flashes, and when you get a flash in this format here, where you are 5 minutes on and 5 minutes off, if you get a flash, then you get a longer rest, and that's just a huge advantage sometimes. So, okay, this looks like she got the right way up there. Obviously, she's a little bit locked in there.
Oh, that was close. That might be the way to do it. I mean, if she can lean just a tad further, then that could have been the way to go there for Rosa.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting that you're talking about what flashing means and how much getting to rest means as well, because it's obviously important to again point out that our athletes have not seen these boulders before. They're coming in, seeing them for the first time and trying to figure them out in 5 minutes. And some of these boulders are very, very hard to read. Some of them are super complex. So with only 5 minutes to go, you definitely have to be able to think on the fly. And now Rosa, with 1 minute left to go, only has to figure out one movement. So this might just be our second top of this final here.
Yeah.
Perhaps coming in from Rosa Arnold from Finland.
I think maybe Rosa also, perhaps she's a little bit taller than the former competitors, so she might be able to make the jump work from her current position, where she's got the right foot there. Yeah, maybe get the left foot just a notch further up.
Rosa getting into position. This is where we saw her the last time before she nearly got into top. Moving her left foot up as well might just make the difference.
Yeah. Come on, Rosa. Yeah.
Very nice from Rosa. So that's the second top of this final on women's number 1.
Nothing fancy, really. Just really positioning her before she executed, and she had the height to actually get the top. Yeah, but just talking about this whole onside format, as we talked about. I mean, if you're able to flash a problem, then you have the benefit of not being as fatigued. You also have the benefit of confidence.
Yes.
Right. It's like if you go in there, do a problem, then you maybe know some of your competitors have struggled with it. It just gives you sort of a boost. So that might also be a bit of an advantage.
And then, Robin, as a former competitor, how much would you say confidence means in a competition like this? Because obviously some of these athletes, they have medals to prove how good they are, but some of them don't. And even if they don't have that, for example, Rosa haven't really won anything internationally quite yet. So getting a boulder like this, how much does that mean for her?
Yeah, sure. Sort of getting a start like that, where you top the problem, that just makes such a big difference going back to isolation. Especially like she's fought for it and ended up executing, so that makes such a difference. Yeah.
Absolutely. So getting a flash means a lot, and just getting that confidence, Robin, is definitely the way forward for a lot of these athletes. But now we are once again taking a look over at males number 1. This time around it is going to be Gabriel Kern coming in from Sweden. Looks like a bit of a taller climber as well, but trying to do something different there with a toe hook. Do you think that could work, Robin?
Well, you just saw him there trying to just touch the zone with his fingertips. And as we talked about, I don't think that's going to count as a bonus, because you need to sort of being able to use the hold, right? And now we're seeing another potential top on boulder number 1, and unfortunately not really getting the momentum there. But well, talking about just going back to the thing about confidence there.
Yes.
I think this is actually something that, at least going into the problem and having having the confidence to just go for the moves, especially on boulders like these, where you need to execute and you need to sort of, well, say the last move up there, you need to make a decision pretty quickly, whether you're going to do the jump or whether you think you can maybe find some other technique or move a bit further up. So confidence on a boulder problem like this might do the difference of whether you're sort of executing quickly, giving it a try in the first time, right? So that makes a huge difference. But basically, I mean, there are two factors really in boulder competitions like this that you sort of need to balance, and one is to read the boulder problem and have a good idea or a plan, but at the same time being really willing to adapt while you're on the wall, right? So maybe you have a plan, maybe you've sort of read the problem in a certain way, but I think everyone will acknowledge that while you're on the wall, when you're on the wall and you can sort of feel your body being up there, your position on the wall, then something else might emerge from being up there. So that's when adapting and being able to sort of change your mind and going for something very different if it feels right comes into play. So it's always a matter of like having a good plan, but being able to change your mind really.
And obviously for these competitors at this skill level that they are in, they are able to think on the fly. They are able to adapt to what the boulder is giving them, because obviously they've just been on so many different boulders. They've tried so many different techniques, so many different body movements, so they know what they need to do, but it doesn't always mean that they can do it when they are in that moment. Obviously, again, 5 minutes is super stressing. As you can see, Aurora here battling her way over at women's number 4, just having a hard time just getting to the start.
Yeah, you can see how Aurora there is...
She's shaking her head in denial. She doesn't even think she can do it.
Okay.
It is a really hard one. You can see just getting from the start apparently is just hard.
Shaking her head, but maybe smiling a bit too, I think I saw. But she was not comfortable doing the jump. I'm pretty sure this is sort of like a jump. Maybe a little bit like the skate move we talked about earlier on. But she didn't feel comfortable, so she tried to see if she could do it with a toe hook instead. But yeah, as we talked about, being able to adapt is really important. But you may also see that there is a difference between different climbers. Some of the climbers are more, you might say, intuitive climbers. They'll go on the wall and they'll try to feel their way through. And other of the climbers are more analytical.
Yes.
So some years back, I helped out with the Danish national teams, and I had quite a lot of talks with the athletes. And one of the things we talked a lot about was whether you were, you might say, analytical climber, trying to figure out the right way and then just executing that, or whether you were more of sort of like the kind of climber that looked on it, had some idea of what you were going to do, but basically tried to feel your way through it while being on the wall. And later on, maybe when we go to the juniors and the seniors, where maybe some of the climbers we know a little bit better, then we can talk about which of them is more intuitive climbers and which of them are very analytical and in their mindset.
Absolutely. So that also comes down to the climbers using their strength to figure their way out here on these boulders. Obviously, playing to your strengths does help you quite a lot, but someone who does have a lot of strengths is Jessica Knifsund, coming in here as perhaps the most experienced female climber that we have. 2 times UFC Finnish bouldering gold medalist in 2019 and 2020, and the year before that she also was the national champion in the Youth D category. So Jessica definitely is a force to be reckoned with, but in first place is Clara from Denmark, so we obviously can't count her out, but I would be surprised if Jessica does not end up in top 3.
She really, I think she did pretty much the right thing there. But
on her first go as well.
On first go, and she did the drop knee, it's called, where you sort of twist your your knee down. And who's on number 1 here?
On number 1, that is going to be Sverre Olaf Stensland Blixt.
Yeah.
So also a male competitor without too much history behind him, but he did super well in the qualification, which does net him a 2nd place in the finals.
Yeah, 2nd. And he's brushing the the landing part of the program where you need to land your right foot. But we haven't seen the top, have we, on the first one? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think we have seen a single top on men's number one quite yet. I think everyone more or less has gotten that zone. Getting up there hasn't proven to be that hard, but getting over to the top apparently is a very hard movement for these male competitors. As Søborg once again gets into position. Now, looks like he is one of the shorter athletes here in this final, so might prove to be a bit hard for him, but he is able to get over there. So maybe because with him being a bit shorter, he can build a bit more momentum.
So this may be easier said than done while just standing here and watching, but one of the things that I would like to see there, Søborg try is to maybe run onto that little triangle in the middle there. Not trying to stand on it from the start, but just giving it sort of stepping over to it and using that momentum going forward.
Yes.
Maybe we can see
the proper skate movement, right, where he
skate.
He actually uses his entire body and his right foot and right hand to
but you can
create
see
that momentum.
You can see him standing there. If he could give it a jump over there and just continue running, like that might be.
Ooh, so close. 1 minute left. Søborg might be able to do this. Has one good attempt left in him with that timer slowly running out. Søborg could definitely do this. Would maybe be our first top of the evening, Robin, on men's number one.
Yeah, but we're seeing quite a lot of the athletes trying to go with their left foot, and now I think we're going to have a top on women's number two. No, we're not. Super close on the compression problem there. Who's that on number two?
On women's number two, that is currently Rosa Arnold.
Yeah.
But the timer is running out, and Rosa Arnold is feeling her way over, but she only has 8 seconds, so she is in a hurry.
Now. That
has
is
to
so close.
Oh.
Come on.
Come on, Rosa. No, claps the finish hold, but unfortunately that doesn't help you at all. You have to get up there, you have to control it, but now with the bus running, that does mean that we're going to get our last few competitors of the day onto that mat, so that means that we have we've seen all our 10 competitors onto the mat so far. Our newest competitors will be Clara Stricker from Denmark and Hugo Talsivalmi from Finland. So Clara, we have talked a lot about her. I can't wait to see how she's going to do in this competition. Hugo, as I also said, one of those guys with so much experience, and Clara apparently trying to do this aesthetically, but apparently no one told her that is dual text because you can't stand on that. But she gets back. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, she's able to adapt. Sometimes that is what you need to do. And Clara, still on her first attempt, goes back and forth, and now she's getting in that position. Might be able to flash this if she can figure out the rest.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see Clara actually, because as we talked about, this is basically her first international or sort of larger competition. She's still that young, but she's just proven in the qualification that she's ready for the bigger competitions. And what is really sort of fascinating when you see someone like Clara is that she intuitively moves really well on the wall on these kinds of problems. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and obviously here we're being in Denmark, and maybe I'm okay to cheer a little bit extra for her. We'll see.
Obviously, no one can call us biased because we can't see the chat, Robin. But with that being said, obviously a fun fact about Clara is that Bison Boulders, where the Nordic Bouldering Championship 2021 is being held, is her home gym. So obviously she knows these walls pretty well. Yeah. She knows this type of climbing as well, because Bison Boulders is known for a lot of its competitive boulders for having that kind of style. So Clara definitely has that experience to boot with her having that first place so far.
Yeah.
But Hugo getting ready slowly, taking his time trying to figure out how to do this boulder. And Clara is also just taking a look at that boulder. Hugo, however, getting into starting position.
So I hope that perhaps we can get scoring, get the score soon, because I don't think we've had that many tops all in all, but I think maybe this set has proven to be fairly hard, since quite few tops have been done. We'll see when we get the scoring in. And there Hugo trying to go dynamically for this tiny zone chip. So maybe we could switch over to Boulder, the female number 1 Boulder. Is that possible? I don't know if we can sort of...
Yes, it would be interesting to check in with Clara once again. She is battling her way onto that boulder currently, getting into position for that top hole. We can see it right now. You can't see it on your screen, but she is actually able to get up to that top hole, as you can see right there. She basically what she did was she leaned into it and then slowly jumped as she was falling away from that wall. So that's going to be a top here from Clara as well. That is impressive.
That is really impressive, and I'm pretty excited to see how she's going to continue in this competition. That would be a bit of an effort just going into her first competition like this, and then just executing on the boulders. And talking about intuitive climbers, I haven't seen her climb a lot, so she's fairly new, but she looks like the kind of climber that sort of feels her way through and are really good at adapting and just trying out different stuff on the wall. Gabriel here on those huge, powerful moves. This is a bit of a compression, and there's no crimps on this one at all. It's all about upper body strength, and Gabriel doing a really good job there.
And then Gabriel putting down that toe does mean that he can lock himself in place and try and figure out now what is that next step. But can also release it. Unfortunately, can't go much further from there. But it is an interesting discussion, the one about intuition against you being more of an analytical climber as the timer runs out 2 seconds. But Robin, what is the main difference between being an analytical climber and then being one who feels the way through? Like, what is the downside to being one of the either?
Well, the downside of being mainly an intuitive climber, I think this is my own term for it, but that could be that you don't just read the boulder problem thoroughly enough, and you may use too many attempts trying different stuff. The downside of not being able to adapt and not being sort of intuitive climber is that you're getting too fixed on a specific plan or a specific move. I don't know. Say a guy like Björn that unfortunately didn't make it to the finals. He's just extremely good at reading boulder problems. He almost, you can just ask him and he will instantly just say, boom, 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 it's going to be like this. So I would say a very sort of, and also him being a route setter and having done that so many years. So one thing he has worked on through the years is to combine that with a more like intuitive approach where you sort of feel your way through the problem as well. So that'd be one example of a very analytical climber who's also been trying to sort of
train the other part of climbing,
train the more intuitive part of the climbing, yeah.
So for someone like Clara, who currently is our leading female climber in this competition, who is more of that intuitive one, she could have a hard time if she ends up spending too much time during these boulders, just trying too many attempts. That could be a problem, as we have talked about attempts and zones being a huge part of the competition earlier on. As we do see Jessica falling down from that boulder, and then afterwards, now checking in here with, I believe, Sverre, 711. Sverre taking his time here on men's number 2. I haven't really heard anyone getting to the tops of on this one. I do think that this final rather looks to be really, really hard. We haven't seen that many tops. It's only been a few on women's number 1, but I don't think we've seen that many on either 2, 3, 4 from either sides quite yet.
No, it certainly has. Seems like they've set up a really hard set here, and after the Youth B finals here, we're going to have the Youth A finals, and they are planning to adjust the problems, but maybe they won't adjust them that much harder. I don't know, or maybe they will.
Those two categories are going to be climbing on the same actually the same problems. So there are going to be a few adjustments. But I mean, if these Youth B climbers are having a hard time just doing these problems all in all, then maybe the Youth A climbers who are older, more stronger, more experienced, probably will find them a bit hard as well, depending on how much they do get adjusted, as you mentioned.
So we're seeing, is this Sverre?
Yes, this is Sverre
on this very compression-like move, and finding it hard to sort of do this like double, do this shoulder move. We need to sort of perhaps cut loose with your feet and then just be really lock off in both shoulders. And I believe there is a jump in the end, or at least a fairly dynamic move that we can see right now. And I don't think anyone has done that yet. So this is also proven to be one of the hard ones. One of all 4 hard boulders.
Yes, all 4 boulders in this final are super hard. But with only 1 minute left to go, Sverre jumps on once again. Hasn't really figured out how to do or how to get around that corner. No. Yes, as we can see Jessica in the background feeling her way over here on women's number 2. Again, remember those are dual text, so textured rather, so they aren't really that good, and some of them can be really hard to hold on to. Sverre jumps on once again, gets onto that zone hold, but is going to be granted that zone hold because he has stabilized himself and used it to create momentum, but won't be able to get further on from that that corner, and then he throws the towel in the ring and then says, okay, that's it. With only 10 seconds left, I'm not going to jump onto it again.
But I think he had the right idea, and these moves are just proven really also quite reachy for him, maybe. I'm not sure.
He does look like one of our lower competitors, so obviously does have a hard time. Now checking in with Clara from Denmark, going on to Boulder number 2.
So this should be quite interesting also to see how Clara is sort of doing on these compression moves. So this is what we've talked about, is quite a lot about upper body strength and having a lot of tension in your body, or sort of keeping tension. And she's straight on.
Yes, and obviously as one of those climbers who say are super intuitive, who just feels their way on, Clara...
There's not a lot of hesitation.
No, she's definitely just jumping on. We have only spent, 30 seconds before she got onto that boulder, and obviously she also spent time getting over there. So Clara is super fast on, and you can see she's just feeling her way through right now, making sure to figure out on the fly what to do. Now hawking that Mickey Mouse is looking on. Now, this looks very promising. Gets off like
promising. Come on, Clara!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Whoa. Wow, beautiful one from Clara. You can hear the crowd going crazy. She did not spend a lot of time figuring out what to do there, and that means that she's going to get a very quick break right there. She spent about 1 minute and 30 seconds on the mats, already going out to get another break. So a very dominant one from Clara so far, who have topped all 2 boulders that she's been on so far.
We talked about confidence, didn't we? And you see her having topped the first one, and maybe she's like, I'm already doing great here. I didn't expect any more. So she's just going at it really fast. And,
when you have the confidence, you might as well build on top of it, and you can just see that in her climbing right there, moving straight onto it, feeling her way through, and
I've been impressed by her speed, actually. I mean, the problem she just made there can be fairly... you might consume quite a lot of energy on this specific problem, but she executed really fast on it, and that can actually, sometimes you don't realize it, make the difference on that last move where she stuck, which she did. And also, she's probably still very fresh for the next problems.
Absolutely, getting
quick
such a
shots.
long break. That's like 7-8 minutes of break time that she's going to get now. So plenty of time for her to get back into shape and then get on with this competition. As now we're looking at Nathalie Venslu and Gabriel Kern here, both from Sweden, trying to feel their way through on men's number 3 and women's number 3. But Gabriel releasing that big volume is in this situation right here. But you know what? What is this boulder about, Robin? Why is it looking so hard so far for Gabriel?
Yeah, I was just looking at the other problems, so I'm not sure. I'll just have to check what's going on there. But I think there is a jump up to the zone, which has probably been the part proven really hard. And I am not quite sure, but I think you need to jump with your left foot over to the wall on the sides. We'll just have to see. I haven't seen this problem before, so I was a bit more of an intuitive climber myself, so so I don't know. No.
Well, you heard it here first.
No, it's fairly new for me, this problem, but.
Now it's all about jumping up and getting that compression.
Oh, no, yeah, it's a double dyno, yeah. So he needs to go with back. I think he had the right idea there. I'm not sure whether he can keep his feet on while doing the jump, so he just needs to get really far, and so he's in a good position to lock off in both shoulders and stick the double dyno. Yeah.
Well, Gabriel, with 40 seconds left here on the clock, moves onto it once again. If you can't get that compression within like the next 10-15 seconds, then he should have plenty of time to still move on to the rest of the boulder. Now getting up there, getting in position, but actually tries to go up and do it statically. Won't be able to do it. Won't be able to land that compression as well. And now 20 seconds left to go. I don't think Gabriel will give it another try. Actually, will jump straight onto it. Hasn't gotten the zone quite yet, so that is what he's fighting for.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately he. Oh, and he sticks it. See if he can do the last move, and he's
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Come on. Yeah, so got the zone there, but the first attempt where he just touched the zone, I don't think that's going to count. But eventually got the zone.
Yeah, so we'll get the zone, fortunately for Gabriel, but now we are moving onwards with the competition, and we're only going to have 4 competitors on stage here, as we are getting towards the end of our Youth B category. So that means that now we're going to be taking a look at Sverre and Jessica, who are on boulder number 3. Jessica still with so much experience, but hasn't really found her form here today. I'm not sure whether or not I can't remember if she topped boulder number 1 or boulder number 2. I don't think she did. So getting a top here on boulder number 3 will definitely give her some much needed confidence and a fighting chance against Clara Strickler. Stricker rather, if she is able to get that, and then Clara doesn't get too much more boulders.
And here we're getting a little bit of a better camera angle for that jump, where you sort of have to do a quick jump and get that purple really good hold there while throwing your left foot up on the volume. And I think you might want to match, like put both your hands on the large black hold there before you jump. Well, I'm not sure.
Now Rosa Arnold taking her time to get onto the boulder and show us what the way is.
So we can just get a brief view, a quick view here on men's number 4, which is like really cramped. You're really cramped in the start there. You need to start on 2 very low holds and then sort of see if you can do a tiny jump up there, but he seems like he goes statically to a crimp. So
Elias Gislason getting on with the start. Our only Icelandic competitor here in this UFB final. We haven't talked too much about him, but obviously getting into a final as an Icelandic competitor means quite a lot. They are a bit more isolated compared to Norway, Finland, Denmark, and Sweden. So getting this competition and getting into a final means more experience for this young athlete.
So we see she's getting the right idea there. She did you call it a ninja kick or a pogo, swinging her left leg, and that gave her momentum to actually go for that purple hold. So it looked really promising. I think that would be the solution. Also on the men's number 4 there, after doing these really awkward first moves and jumping for the next for the large volume out there, you actually need to just go with both hands on the large volume and straight ahead swing onto the zone. So this is just an intermediate, just a hold that will get you further up. You're not supposed to stick that hold. Actually, you're supposed to move on to the next one.
Yeah, you're not
straight away.
You're not supposed to stay there.
It's what you call sort of like a tap dyno or something like that, where you sort of just tap the volume and use momentum to carry on to the next one.
So it's kind of like Fyn in Denmark. You don't want to stop there. You just have to go straight over it. A little bit of Danish humor for all of you guys, but
yeah. Bit like so. Is it like that in Denmark? What the fuck?
Well, I don't come from Fyn, so I can say stuff.
Okay, so
like
it's
that. Actually, no. If I came from Fyn, I could probably say stuff like that. But nevertheless, Rosa still taking her time, trying to figure out how to get on from the start, trying that pogo.
So
there we go, poking it up.
Yeah.
Getting that hand as well. Super good. So now if she can get that zone, she still has 45 seconds left to go. Looking at the top, reaching for it. She can see it in her sights, but she has to get up there. It looks like a really good hold as well.
And the next move, it might be intuitive to go with your left hand, but I think actually this is one of those sort of like human flag moves where you go with your right hand and just instantly do a press with your left hand. As you saw, she was intending that, but you need to go further up. I think she had the right idea there, unfortunately probably out of time.
Yes, unfortunately for Rosa, she is running out of time. 10 seconds left to go. She can't stick that pogo move once again. So that is the end of women's number 4 for Rosa, and the end of her final, as now we're going to have Natalie Vensalu coming in alongside Clara Stricker. And on the men's side of things, we're going to have Gabriel Kern and Huku Talvisalmi once again moving on to the mats.
And obviously a little bit exciting here to see Clara, since she's, I think she's ahead.
I think she is the one leading as well. She has topped every boulder that she's been on so far. Obviously, leading her way forward doesn't take a lot of time. Once again, 30 seconds spent before she just jumps on that boulder. Now, obviously, just a quick reminder, Hugo, he's the one over on the left. The one on the right rather, on the left, that is Clara Stricker. There we go. But first attempt already used here by Clara. She jumps straight onto it, falls off, and takes a bit of a longer time to just look at it. That's like 10-15 seconds just spent there looking at the boulder, trying to figure it out. Now, obviously, Robin, you have called her a very intuitive climber, but once again, that is what we're seeing from her, just jumping on there, trying to figure out whether or not it works. But is this one of these boulders where you need to spend more time to see what is the way forward?
I think it's both on this boulder. I mean, you have to feel your way through those first moves to see...
as we do see a top coming in from our Swedish competitor, Natalie Vensalu. So that is going to be, I believe, maybe the first top of women's number 4 as well.
Yeah.
So definitely a strong performance from Natalie all in all. Didn't get that on tape, but we are still taking a look here at Clara, who's going in for that big compression move.
Yeah,
now
but just
getting over to the side.
And I think if she gets the next hold there, she might be more comfortable, because I think she's really strong in her fingers and all that. So it's almost like a little hook, not really a crimper. It's more like she got it from the wrong direction now, I think. But I think actually maybe she wants to go for the zone right away, taking it as a Gaston. But you saw again that she did the first move. She had a try and then sort of adapted a little bit, and then did like more the double dyno where both hands were moving at the same time and up to the press in the start. So quite quickly getting a bit of progression on the on the problem, but yeah, this might prove too hard or too hard to figure out within those 5 minutes.
Yeah, maybe for Clara, but she has spent the better part of those 5 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds left here from Clara. Once again, she falls off from this attempt, but she did have a long break, so she should have the power in her to do this, but obviously time is running out. 5 minutes isn't a long time to figure out a boulder that you haven't seen before, where
pretty much,
where every attempt counts.
You haven't got the time on the screen, unfortunately, but we've got about 2 minutes, and there's...
This is looking to be quite a hard movement for her. Just getting into that double Gaston-ish kind of movement definitely looks to be really hard for her. Just for all the viewers out there, a Gaston movement is when you have your thumb facing your way down. You can see right now on her right hand, the thumb is facing down. She is pressing to both sides, so that is how she gets over there. But now, back in the same position, she gets that. This could be the attempt where she gets the stop, gets that second to last hold, but unfortunately can't get all the way over there. So 1 minute, 15 seconds left to go. She has all the movements figured out. I would like to see her take a bit more of a break, as we do check in with Hugo Talsamali. Talvisauni. Again, 2 times UFC finished Boulder and gold medalist in 18-19, and also defending gold medalist in UFD.
And he sticks a double dyno.
Yes, gets a double dyno. Let's see if he can get the rest down.
Small crimp there, and then you need to get into position, probably to do a final jump.
Remember, the top of that black one, it is a bit hard to see, but it is dual texture, so you can't hold really on to that top one. If you don't land it correctly, you will just slip off immediately. With 30 seconds left to go, however, Hugo has one last attempt in him if he is super fast. Same goes for Clara. They need to get on, and they need to get on now as time is running out. 18 seconds left, Robin.
Yeah.
Hugo moves back on. 10 seconds left to go. I don't think Hugh will have enough time. I think Clara is also throwing in a towel, so that means that Clara won't be topping women's number 3, as she will now go back into isolation. And our last competitors, more or less, will be moving out. So Sverre moves on to 4. Same goes with Jessica. Once they finish this round, we're going to have Hugo and Clara back onto the mats as well. And then that is going to be the end of the Youth B competition. As we are checking in here with Jessica, looking over at women's number 4. That is the Pogo movement. That is the Pogo movement, Robin. So it's going to be interesting to see if someone like Jessica can do it. Obviously, she's taking her time here, trying to figure out how to do it. She's already spent 45 seconds figuring out how to do this exact start, and she now takes the time to brush it as well.
So sometimes it looks a bit it looks a bit odd that you'll see the climbers start their round brushing the holes. There's some psychology to it, I suppose, but it's also a matter of just you can sort of brush the holes while still figuring out what you're going to do, right? A little bit. But,
yes, and it is important to brush those holes as well, especially since you are one of those last competitors coming out, Robin.
According to the rules, actually, at least in the World Cup, you should be allowed to either brush them yourself or have someone do it for you. So it should be a possibility to just tell the judges, please brush the holes, and they will do it.
As you can see on screen right now, Sverre is making sure to use that option, but some of these athletes, they do prefer to brush it themselves. Simply they know what they want and where they want it, but as you mentioned, obviously it's a psychological thing, just brushing it, making sure that everything is crisp, but it is also just taking your time to make sure that everything is perfect, because you don't want too much chalk on there, you don't want too much rubber on there as well. So for someone like Jessica, she does take her time to figure it out, but she is having a harder time, however, figuring out this pogo. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left to go as well. So
Yeah,
for Jessica, time is running out, and she hasn't really figured out the start at all.
Still a few minutes to go, but she did the pogo there, so I think she got the idea. One thing that is one should take note of is that quite often a boulder problem will contain two sort of difficult parts.
Yeah.
Sometimes more, sometimes it's almost every move, but quite often you'll see there are two main cruxes on the boulder problem. And what often happens is that once you get through the first one, you're just too confused to solve the rest of the problem. And that's probably what we're seeing on this specific problem, that they are fighting their way up to the zone and probably not being quite mentally ready, just not quite ready to do the last move, right? So that's something we see quite a lot.
Yes, 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go. Jessica's still trying to figure out how to do this. She is trying to stabilize herself and stop that barn door from coming in, the movement where she swings open and falls off. She doesn't really want to commit herself to that pogo, to the more dynamic movement, whereas it looks like Sverre is having a harder time creating that momentum, that upwards movement to get onto that zone. Oh, but Jessica actually sticks it this time around through the more static way. So let's see if she can get to the top. Nearly slips off.
Come on.
Jessica looks to line it up, goes for it, but that's the left hand. Robin, you said you need to go with that right hand. Does it make it harder when you go with the left hand instead?
I think so. I think you need to go a bit further, and I'm not sure you can stabilize yourself. But as what I just talked about was that if you've been fighting, having had many tries on the first crux, then you might find yourself being fairly confused going up to the next crux because you've just been so focused on the first one. I think that was a little bit what we saw here as well. So I think we will try to see if we can find some results, some preliminary results. Maybe I'll just go over to the producers and see if there are any coming up.
Yes, and at the same time, I will be checking in here with Jessica, who is hanging on to the wall. You can see right now she is looking to get up there, lines up, gets a hold of that left hand, but that's all. She won't get more. But right now we are having a look at those male competitors. Not fixed results so far, but I don't think these have been updated because as far as I know, on the male side we have seen at least one top, and on the female side we have seen Clara get 2, but that hasn't been added yet to the result list that we are seeing. So we won't talk too much about it. We will give you an update later on once we get on to that part. Might just be that it will be in between broadcasts, because once we finish this round with Clara now on the boulder and Hugo on the boulder as well, we will be going offline just for a period of 20-30 minutes, simply because we will be swapping these boulders, making them a bit harder in between in between classes, so Youth A and Youth B. So we probably won't have the results ready immediately, but
she sticks it.
Jumps on immediately. This is what attempt number 2, and she's already looking for the top.
Oy.
Very nice attempt from Clara, not going for that human flag, but instead trying to jump up there again with a pogo-ish movement. So left hand and left foot. And you can just see right there in your bottom left corner how she's practicing that movement on the mattress. I mean, that's dedication.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we did also see Hugo get up and hold on to that zone hold for a very small period of time. So if he just gets, a few more good goes, then I'm sure that he could hold on to that zone hold and actually not fall off it again. As Clara jumps onto it once again, sticks that movement once again onto that second to last hold. Let's see if she goes with the left hand or for the human flag. Tries that left hand, but can't quite get far enough up. Falls down. And that means that we're going to see her go for a third attempt. But, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like we've used a lot more time in this round than we truly have, because there's 2 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. And both Hugo and Clara are looking super promising.
Yeah, so I think she will go for the solution she tried the first time, where she jumped with her left foot up. That's felt promising for her. So I think that's what we're going to see again.
Clara lining it up, and she gets it. That's a top hole for Clara. And once again, you can just hear how the crowd goes wild. That's 3 tops all in all here from Clara Stricker from Denmark. One of her first very big competitions, so a very good job here from Clara. Well done, and that means that I'm pretty confident in saying that she is going to get first place. Very good job from Clara, but that does also mean that we are still going to be taking a look here at Hugo, who still is on to men's number 4 with 1 minute and 48 seconds left to go. Lining it up, going all the way over to the zone, gets his right hand onto it, but just can't quite hold on. The zone hold isn't as positive as you think it is. It looks rather good, but it isn't as good as you think it is. You can get one pad of your finger onto it, so you definitely need to hold on to it once you get up there.
But you saw he had the right idea, and he used the intermediary hold and used the swing to go for the zone. So he's got the idea, and just needs to see if he can get the zone in the last minute. I'm really impressive there from Clara, and as she said, I think she must she must be in first place, I suppose.
Oh, Hugo gets it. Oh, this might just be our first top of men's number 4 as well. Hugo lining it up for that top, but he has to get all the way up there and basically stand on these holds. To get it.
Come on. And he makes it. Yeah.
Hugo with a top on men's number 4 as well. And that will conclude this grand final here in the Youth B competition. So what a competition. So many tops from some of these top athletes, but a very, very close competition all in all, Robin. I'm sure that once we get the results, there are going to be some upsets, because we didn't see too many tops, so it definitely will in the end come down to number of attempts and number of zones.
Yeah, it proved to be a really hard round. Maybe the setters made it a little bit too difficult. And as we talked about, they shouldn't. Maybe they should adjust a little bit to the next group, or not make it much harder. I think would be a good idea.
Yeah, that does mean that now we are going to be seeing our fixed results right here. So Clara Stricker is going to be taking first place with 3 tops and 4 zones. Just below her is going to be Natalie Venselu from Sweden.
Yeah.
And then Rosa Arnold coming in on 4th place. I'm really interested in the fact that Jessica didn't get into top 3. I did say at the start of this broadcast that I would be surprised if she didn't get into top 3, but sometimes it's just not your day, and today it was definitely Clara's day.
Definitely Clara's day, and sort of pretty much saving the day for the route setter team.
As well, yeah.
Because getting those tops obviously is,
it does go to show
looks a bit better than 1 top each.
Yes, it does go to show that even though the boulders were super hard, they can still be topped and they can still be done, even though a lot of the competitors had a hard time.
But look at this. I'm curious to whether this is the final result. It might be. If this is the truth, and it might be, then we have 1 top.
It does look like what we're talking about over on the female side isn't quite true to the men's side. Hugo getting 1 top and 3 zones. 3 zones for Gabriel and 2 zones for Sverre. So
obviously a really hard set for Youth B here. And that tells you a little bit why there was this huge roar in the end when Hugo actually got the top. Yeah,
absolutely.
A bit of a shame.
He was fighting for that first place podium, but ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude the Youth B men's final, meaning that we will be going offline for 30-40 minutes-ish, and then we will be back with Youth A, so stay tuned. Don't really go anywhere. You have plenty of time to run down to the store and get some popcorn and some soda or buy a pizza, whatever you want, and we will be back. It was Jesper Kunz and Robin Viggery, and we're looking forward to Youth A as well.
Absolutely.